it was the surprise. Following weeks of controversy, criticism, and suspicions of a permanent blacklist, Kirk Frost and Mendeecees Harris have finally spoken out. They did the unthinkable and apologized instead of taking revenge or refusing to back down. In the open, in a panic. Now people all across the world are wondering, is it too late? Even though the movie was supposed to make things right, the tension was there from the moment Kirk and Mendeecees stepped onto the screen. Kirk's voice shook as he began speaking, and Mendeecees, who is usually calm and controlled, became visibly agitated. Their careers, reputations, and entire legacy of reality TV were on the line. Kirk muttered as he looked directly into the camera, "Dude, I never thought I'd be sitting here like this. Nevertheless, I have to own up to my mistakes." Mendeecees took a deep breath, nodded, and went on. "We let many people down. And we just." But was this a genuine apology or just another desperate attempt to save their waning career? All we want is a chance to make things right. Fans had mixed reactions. Some felt it was too little too late, while others were shocked by how broken they looked. Were they saved by this, or was their time on reality TV coming to an end? Watch closely because the next event rocked the industry. Kirk Frost sat in front of the camera, his fists clenched and his usual assurance missing. The criticism, the risks to his career, and the industry rumors were all weighing down on him like a heavy storm cloud, and Mendeecees Harris looked just as uncomfortable beside him. This was no typical apology. It was their last chance to protect their future, their reputations, and their reality TV careers. And for the past few weeks, the world has been watching their fall in popularity in real time. Producers were furious, fans were stunned, and the network, they had ceased to communicate. There had been no calls, no meetings to discuss damage management, just the cold, ominous possibility that they were over. It had been a vicious, explosive fight that millions of people watched on camera. The internet had a field day. The greatest failure of reality TV. Are Kirk and Mendeecees banned? Is it too late to apologize? The industry had turned against them overnight. Producers talk about Kirk and Mendeecees' future. Did they simply destroy their own careers? Each headline served as one more nail in the coffin. Now that Kirk and Mendeecees were sitting in front of this camera, they were aware of the reality. This was it. After inhaling deeply, Kirk looked at Mendeecees and then at the camera. "Dude." With a heavy sigh, he rubbed his hands together and murmured, "I never imagined I'd be sitting here like this." His voice was low and strained. But here we are. Mendeecees nodded and clenched his jaw. "We need to be honest about this," he said. "We made a mistake. Not good. There are no excuses." There was a lengthy silence. Despite the weight of their words hanging in the air, none of them spoke. The atmosphere in the room changed tonight. This was distinct from Kirk and Mendeecees' hotness and lack of regret, which fans were used to. There were two men fighting for their jobs. Kirk's sigh was audible. This is not how Kirk Frost got emotional. "We let a lot of people down, including our loved ones, fans, and those who trusted us." Even Mendeecees was surprised by the tiny crack in his voice. However, everything changed this evening. There was a fire in the comment section. "It's too late, too little." They just apologized because they were found out. I don't believe a word they say. Some fans, though, weren't really certain. "Gosh, it looks like Kirk is having this problem." Perhaps they sincerely regret it. Mendeecees seems to be depressed. Kirk wiped his face and shook his head, saying, "Dude, that night shouldn't have happened." Mendeecees leaned forward and rubbed his hands together. The pressure, the cameras, and the emotions all got too real. He sighed. People don't understand what it's like to have a lot of history and tension that builds up, and then it just blows up. Kirk grinned and nodded. But that doesn't mean it's accurate. He looked straight at the camera. "We have to take accountability." Mendeecees took a big breath and said, "We're not sitting here trying to defend ourselves." It was incorrect. We take full responsibility. But even as he spoke, there was an unmistakable feeling of desperation in his voice. This wasn't just about putting things right. It came down to survival. The fallout was more severe than either of them had expected. The phone calls had stopped coming in. Producers were not responding to their messages. The Love and Hip Hop franchise was moving forward without them. Kirk's voice grew lower and more serious. We heard what people had to say, and we finished and won't be coming back. Mendeecees' mouth clenched. We placed them on a blacklist. Kirk inhaled deeply, and honestly, it has been looking that way. The silence that followed was deafening. For the first time, they were accepting the truth. They were not immune to assault. The consequences were something they had to cope with. Then Kirk's voice broke abruptly. He dipped his head slightly and then looked back up at the camera, his eyes watering as he murmured, barely audible, "I lost people over this. Those I care about. I thought they were on my side." Mendeecees shifted next to him and looked visibly uncomfortable. This was not part of the plan. They were supposed to be in control and stay focused. Kirk's emotional outburst, though, may either benefit them or cause them great harm. Mendeecees reached out and put his hand on Kirk's shoulder. "Look, man, I know we can't change the past. That night can't be undone, but we can move forward." Kirk nodded and sniffed. "I just want other people to realize it." Mendeecees moved in his chair, clearly unsure of what to say next. The goal had been to keep things under control and on course, but now they were falling apart. The two men looked at each other for a moment, but this wasn't how they intended things to go. However, something happened that completely changed the situation just when it seemed like they were regaining some sympathy. Kirk's emotional moment was followed by an almost unbearable stillness. However, there was no turning back now. Mendeecees cleared his throat, leaned forward, elbows resting on his knees, and continued in a quiet, thoughtful voice, "You know, when you're in this business, you think everything's going to last forever. The cameras, the fame, the money." The audience was riveted, feeling the vulnerability in Mendeecees' comments and the rawness of the situation, even if it looks like it will go on forever. However, the truth is that all may fall apart in the blink of an eye. Mendeecees continued, "We've been in this game for years." This man was in risk of losing everything he had fought so hard to earn. They weren't used to seeing condescending, conceited Mendeecees like this. There have been highs and lows for us. But this, now it feels different. This is how it feels. Like it was coming to an end. His voice wavered slightly as he spoke, but he quickly regained his composure. Kirk nodded and used his palm to wipe his face. "People don't understand what it's like to have everyone turn against you in a single day. It's as if we've made mistakes. Dude, it's genuine." Mendeecees clenched his teeth and looked straight into the camera, saying, "They have already decided how they feel about us. We won't even be given another chance. We know what other people think. We know there are common views among fans, blogs, and gossip sites that we finished, that this situation cannot be resolved." Kirk's face was tense with frustration, and that's the most challenging part, knowing that no matter how much we say or do, or how often we apologize, others still want to see us fail. They want us gone. The comment section was filled with responses including, "I'm not sure. They seem quite earnest. They should have thought it through before making a mistake. You guys, they're fighting for their careers. It's too late for that." It's evident in their eyes. However, not everybody was persuaded. Come on, all it is damage control. Their fear of losing their employment is the only reason they are behaving this way. I don't believe anything that they say. All they're doing is playing the victim. Kirk shook his head slowly, almost incredulously. The fights, the drama, the accusations, we've already been through a lot. But this, it feels like the end. His voice dwindled to a near whisper as he stared off into the distance, lost in meditation. Mendeecees leaned back in his chair and ran a hand over his hair. "People think we don't give a damn," he said. "They think we just do what we want without thinking about the consequences. But that's not true. We're worried. We have always been worried. We just do." The pressure got the better of us. Kirk sighed harshly, his frustration coming to the fore. "Yes, we were wrong. That's not up for debate. We have, nevertheless, also done a lot of good. We have stood by our friends, helped others, and provided for our families. But nobody wants to talk about that. The Mendeecees nodded in accord. Exactly. They just want to focus on the mistakes. They want to paint us in a negative light, as if we have never done anything important. The audience could feel the nervousness in the room. This was real, not just a marketing ploy or token apologies. Then, as if things couldn't get any worse, Mendeecees' phone buzzed, and his eyes widened in surprise as he looked at the screen. Hey Kirk, these two men were desperately trying to keep their careers intact, but no matter how hard they tried to win over the public's sympathy, everyone couldn't help but wonder, was this apology sincere, or was it really a desperate attempt to prevent permanent blacklisting? You won't believe this, he muttered and held up the phone to Kirk, who lost his facial color as he read the message. Nope. Mendeecees turned back to the camera, his voice faltering. We recently got word. The producers are already moving forward without us. The start was immediate. Kirk sprang up and walked the room while holding his hands to his head. No. It's not feasible. We ought to have time to fix this. Mendeecees pounded his fist against the table. Dude, we weren't even given a chance. They didn't even wait to hear what we had to say. The room fell into a tight quiet as both men attempted to process the information. They were deeply affected by how dire the situation was. Their worst fears were becoming reality. They're not just talking about taking us off the show, Mendeecees said tentatively. They're talking about taking us out of the franchise altogether, forever. Kirk froze, his heart hammering in his chest. That's all. It's over, man. They've already decided on something. The audience was captivated from beginning to end. It was too much hardship. Was the tale of Kirk and Mendeecees really over? Weren't they too late or too early in their apology? But just when it seemed like there was no hope left, Mendeecees' phone chimed again. He stared at the television, his face unreadable. Kirk asked in a tremulous voice, "What is it?" Mendeecees paused for a moment before turning to Kirk. "Yes, it is. The source is the network." Kirk's eyes widened. "What do they want now?" Mendeecees inhaled deeply. They're giving us one last chance. The mood of the room suddenly altered. Mendeecees and Kirk looked at each other incredulously, their emotions roiling. They had been waiting for this moment. A little chance to improve things, but they were still in the woods. But it remained the question, would it be enough? Kirk's mind was racing as he stared at Mendeecees. One last chance. The network wanted to talk after all that had happened, the criticism, the betrayal, the producer's decision to go ahead without them. Was there any hope left, or was this all a game? "They'd like to meet," Mendeecees said sharply, still holding his phone. "Tomorrow. No cameras, no social media. Just us and the executives." Kirk rubbed his temples and slipped into his seat. "Dude, this could go either way." Mendeecees nodded. "Yes, and if we don't play it right, we're truly out of luck. It was too much hardship. Their jobs remained in danger even after they expressed regret and made amends. Now that they had been pushed to the brink, everything depended on one final conversation. They had best not botch up this shot," was one of the reactions that erupted in the comment section. If the network is still evaluating them, maybe they should get another chance. Kirk sat forward and took a big breath. No, that's it for them. The network is just being polite before cutting them off completely. We must approach this with intelligence. We must demonstrate to them that we recognize the harm we have caused. We must demonstrate our willingness to put things right. Mendeecees sighed and grumbled. But that's the problem. Regardless matter what we say, people already have predetermined ideas about us. Some of our co-stars, bloggers, and even fans. They're all just waiting for us to fail. Kirk's mouth clenched. Then we have to change the narrative. In this situation, we have to present ourselves as the weaker side. Mendeecees raised an eyebrow. The underdogs? Kirk nodded. Yes, think about it. People love comeback tales. They currently see us as villains, but we could have a chance if we can change this and regain their trust. Mendeecees considered it for a long time. It means we have to be accountable for everything. No explanations. Avoid dodging. We have to take full responsibility. Kirk hesitated for a moment before nodding. Yes, no other choice exists. The weight of the situation started to weigh on them as they prepared for what may be the most important conversation of their careers. An apology was no longer enough. It came down to survival. The next day, Kirk and Mendeecees arrived at the network's office with their bellies in knots. The room was filled with excitement and a great deal of unspoken condemnation. When the executives sat across from them, their expressions were unbreakable. One of the executives, a stern-looking woman in a fine jacket, folded her hands on the table. To put it bluntly, the outcry has been enormous. Sponsors are pulling out, viewers are demanding your removal, and to be honest, the higher-ups don't think this can be resolved. Kirk's throat tightened. He hadn't expected this to be this terrible. Mendeecees, however, maintained his composure. We understand. We also take full responsibility for all that has happened. The CEOs exchanged glances, perhaps surprised by his openness. Kirk jumped in. The stern-looking executive raised an eyebrow. We know we have disappointed a lot of people. We made choices that hurt the show, the audience, and even the network in addition to ourselves when we let the drama get out of hand. What exactly are you suggesting then? What makes us take this risk? Because this is the story of our redemption, Mendeecees said, taking a long breath. 2 more reality stars were forgotten and canceled. People like to watch us fall, but they would even rather watch us rise. If you cut us now, it would just be another scandal. However, if you let us show off our skills, it's a good TV program. Kirk leaned in. We don't just want to apologize. We want to show it. Give us an opportunity to make the necessary corrections on camera. Let's have a special episode where we own up to our mistakes, face the people we've hurt, and sincerely work to improve things. The meeting fell into a dense silence as the executives processed what they had spoken. One of the men at the table sighed and tapped his pen against his paper. You want us to bet on the idea that redemption stories are popular in America? Mendeecees nodded. You know they do. The pressure was unbearable. Kirk and Mendeecees felt as if their careers depended on the network's choice. After what felt like a lifetime, the lead executive eventually said, "We'll give it some thought. You must understand, though, that this is not a guarantee. If we accept this, it will be on our terms. No room for errors." Kirk and Mendeecees exchanged a quick look before nodding. We understand, Kirk said emphatically. Even though the meeting finished without a clear result, there was still hope. It wasn't a total cancellation, but it was more than they could have imagined. Now, all they had to do was wait and pray. Mendeecees exhaled during their exit from the office. Dude, I don't know how that went. Kirk shook his head and said, we can't control it anymore. But just when they thought the hardest part was over, another surprise was thrown. As soon as they stepped outside, paparazzi flashed cameras, reporters shouted questions, and admirers put out their phones to record. The media had been fed information about their meeting. All of a sudden, they were being discussed again on the internet. The trend on social media was Kirk and Mendeecees just had a secret meeting with the network. What does this mean? They seem to be begging to stay on the program. Mendeecees groaned. I knew that the primary objective was to save their checks. Bro, we can't get a break. Kirk rubbed his face angrily. This changes everything. Even if they were considering giving us another chance, they would now assume that we had leaked information to gain attention. This made them paranoid. Who told the press? Was it from inside the network? A co-star. Is there someone trying to discredit them? When Mendeecees' phone buzzed, his heart plummeted. The sender of the text was not recognized. There will be more. This is not the end. His blood froze. What did that mean? Mendeecees gripped his phone hard, his heart racing. After reading the anonymous text, he felt chilly. It doesn't end there. There will be more. What did that mean? Who did this? And what else could go wrong? Kirk frowned, taking in Mendeecees' attitude. What is it? Mendeecees hesitated, then handed him the phone. When Kirk read the message, his jaw became tight. Dude, this is terrible. Before they could even process it, their phones were popping with notifications. Again, their identities were well known. The media had already been consumed by the secret meeting story, but now there were fresh speculations circulating. Exclusive, the network has made its decision regarding Kirk and Mendeecees' destiny. Reality stars are officially fired from the show after sources say the apology is too late. Insider leaks damning evidence that could ruin Kirk and Mendeecees for good. Mendeecees' stomach sank. Kirk's mind was racing. Proof? What the devil are they talking about? It's a setup. They want us gone, so they're attempting to get the network to drop us. The phone rang, and Mendeecees took it immediately. Tell me you're seeing this, Yandy, she said sharply. Oh, I'm seeing it. And you need to get to work on this immediately, I'm telling you. But we have no idea what they have on us. How do we fight something that hasn't even been seen yet? Kirk rubbed his forehead. If the network accepts these leaks, it's done. No second chances. Mendeecees exhaled. Yandy sighed. The issue is that you don't put off fighting. The story is in your hands before theirs. How? You go live, right now. Take care of everything before they turn it against you. Mendeecees and Kirk exchanged glances. The decision to go live was risky. If they say something wrong, it could backfire. But if they said nothing, the media would go crazy with whatever bogus story was being created against them. They were powerless to stop it. They needed to be honest now. They took a big breath after a few minutes of phone setup and then hit the go live button. As soon as their faces appeared on the screen, thousands of people streamed into the stream. There was a frenzy in the comments area. Hold on, let's hear what they have to say first. You guys had better start talking. It's too late to apologize now. Hey, we're going to be honest with you guys, Mendeecees said, leaning forward and wearing a serious expression. We were wrong. We made a mistake. We also take full responsibility. Kirk nodded. But all of our hard work will not be undone by fabricated leaks and misleading information. The comments kept coming. Who made the meeting public? So, what is the truth? Are you being abandoned by the show? Mendeecees exhaled deeply. That's what we're trying to figure out. Someone is working extra hard to make sure we don't come back from this. I do have a question for everyone, though. Why would we reveal our own meeting while fighting to stay on the show? Kirk shook his head. Look at it. After our conversation yesterday, there is suddenly damning proof against us. Man, move quickly. This is a planned move. Mendeecees looked straight at the camera as fans started debating in the comments section. They have a point, damn it. What if, however, the network is truly done with them, but I kind of want to see them turn around? It is ultimately up to the network to decide whether or not we are out, and we have no control over what happens next. But we won't stand by and let people try to malign us in an effort to expel us. Kirk nodded. And if you've been really rocking with us, you know that this isn't the end of our story. Even if there were disagreements at the conclusion of the live stream, it was clear that they had created a commotion. The following morning, the network finally spoke up. A public statement stated that they were still reviewing the situation and had not made a final decision on Kirk and Mendeecees' future on the show. It wasn't a win, but it wasn't a loss either. The fight was far from over. However, Mendeecees' phone showed another alert just as they were starting to unwind. Another leak. This time it was a voicemail recording. What about the voice of the message? It was Kirk, and what was he saying? Might lead to the collapse of everything. As the story unfolds, the stakes have never been higher. Although Kirk and Mendeecees thought that their public apology would be enough to make things well, more leaks have cast doubt on their future. Will the network give them another shot? Or is this truly the end of their reality TV careers? And with these mysterious leaks, who is trying to bring them down? Share your thoughts with us. Would Kirk and Mendeecees be better off staying or leaving? Who do you think is secretly plotting against them? Let's start a discussion by sharing our thoughts in the space provided for comments below. To ensure you don't miss anything, don't forget to subscribe for all the exclusive updates. Click like if these latest twists caught you off guard, and turn on notifications. We promise that this story is far from ended since you won't believe what will happen next. Watch out.